Ma'am, you're on mute.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday Wisdom and Saturday Skills series. This is being a platform via our Sure Learning, where we ensure through our webinars we give some kind of learning to our attendees and teachers out over there. Before I move on to welcome today's guest, I would just like to quickly tell you that in case if you have any questions in between the session, please feel free to write into the ribbon below which says Q&A. If you have anything that any experience you want to share it in the chat box, and please stay till the end of because there's an assessment. And while you enter your name for the assessment, please ensure that you are using the right email ID and the right name, because your certificates are attached with it. Moving further, in case if you ever want to come back and you want to refer to the what has happened today, we please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Please subscribe so that you do not miss anything that we have on for you on our these social media platform. No further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Archana Sharma. I think Archana ma'am has just dropped out. I will just quickly see. I think there's a technical issue at her end. Rahul, can we just check this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in the meanwhile, till Archana ma'am is joining us, let me give you a little background to Archana ma'am's experience. So she is a versatile speaker who is mission oriented and is an eminent educator with vast and extensive 17 years of experience as principal at various army schools and other CBSE schools span India. Presently, she is heading Orchids the International School, the Malad branch in Mumbai. There are a lot of achievements in her bucket. To tell them and list them, it will be a lot. But just to give a brief to you, she's a strategic thinker with experience in diverse environment, and her strength is in organizing and directing turnout situation. She had been has a bucket of applause to her. A few of her achievements are that she had been training teachers, specifically her forte being learning strategy. She was also a former chairman of Sarodeh Society for Indore, which comprised of 129 CBSE schools. Also, she was a pioneer for CBSE the pilot project in Indore chapter under the Secretary of All India Associate of Education Research. Ma'am, it's an honor to have you today on the show. We welcome you and we look forward to unfold the essence of much talked about NEP 2020. So, ma'am, can we have you?
Thank you so much, Shilpi. And it's
We are
my
not able to
absolute.
see you, ma'am.
Now it's fine?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Here
Thanks
you
a lot,
are,
Shilpi.
versatile Dr. Archana Sharma.
Thank you
So
so much.
before ma'am, I hand over the screen to you. Let us see, because all the attendees out over here had come with a vision to know about NEP. Okay, so let me first check whether are they aware of what is an NEP.
Yes.
Okay, so let me launch a poll. So I've launched one poll for them to understand what is their concept of NEP. Oh, okay, girls. All the attendees out over there, I would like you all to do answer to these two questions quickly, because this is very important before we unfold anything. Let me understand what is your take on NEP? Or what do you understand about? This is very, very basic. Okay, so 50% only of you have voted. I would like everyone to participate in this. Okay, so it's a 1 minute. I will like to end the poll over here and publish the results uh, out over here. So Archana ma'am, I think there here starts all the myths and
Yes,
misconceptions. The
yes.
very first question that states what is NEP, and majority of the participants have written curriculum to be implemented. I think today the need for this session is very much seen because more than 50% of people think it is a curriculum to be implemented. And also somewhere the history that they feel that it was launched 10 years back, I think you have to clear all airs about it. So I'll be asking you a lot of misconception because I see teachers struggling when I talk to them, to many of the educators. There are so many negative myths and misconceptions. So it's wonderful to have you, ma'am, today, and over to you. The screen is all yours.
So, Shilpi, I'll share my screen, and
Yes.
meanwhile, I must share that it's giving me a lot of satisfaction that we chose this particular topic to discuss, because I will be adding value to what NEP is all about and how we can all be ambassadors for the reforms and recommendations set up by NEP. So, if you can just allow me to share my screen, Shilpi.
Yes, ma'am. It's
No,
in.
it is still saying the host has disabled.
No, ma'am. You can share.
Yeah,
Just a second.
it is saying host
Just a
disabled.
second, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah, ma'am. You can start now.
Yes.
So first and
And
foremost, when everyone has said that it is curriculum to be implemented, let us first hear from you. What is NEP?
so basically, NEP is a proposal and a guidelines for curriculum to be set up. If all of us are aware, there's a national curricular framework which was last designed in 2005, and the new curriculum based on this policy is yet to come. So policy, when we talk about national education policy, it is always a set of guidelines and the proposals and the recommendations on the basis of which the curriculum is basically set. So it is the third option which could have been the correct one, the proposal and the guide to set a curriculum. And also, if we can just remove this poll results, I can
Ma'am,
start
it has
with the
already been removed. Removed. Just close it.
right.
Yeah.
So I would like to share the disclaimer here. This information has been taken from the documents issued by MHRD, now known as Ministry of Education. So MHRD is no more called MHRD, Ministry of Human Resource Development. It is now Ministry of Education, and also few media releases of government officials. In just a second, yeah. So here when we look at this, our first national policy, the nation got it in 1968, and after that, the second national education policy was formulated in 1986. After that, this is the third national policy, that is NEP 2020 is the third national policy which we are getting. In 1992, it was just the modification of 1996. So that is the reason we say that it is after a gap of 34 years, the nation is getting its national education policy.
Yes.
Right. So moving ahead, like mainly what is the objective or main aim of having this session today? I think NEP aims at building a global best education system rooted in Indian ethos, thereby transforming India into a global knowledge superpower. So I feel that without teachers, being instrumental into this, we cannot realize this dream of what NEP is proposing, or the educational reforms we all have to take to the grassroots level. There are other reasons also. that we all know that by over the next decade, no, India will have the highest youth population in the world. At the same time, we also can foresee rapid changes in the knowledge landscape. That will definitely have an impact on the employment as well as the global ecosystem. So to prepare that huge chunk of youth of our nation to contribute to economy at the larger level, the teachers have to play a very, very important role. And I think it is very essential also for teachers to know what value they are adding. Generally they think that they are only making difference to lives of the students, but not realizing that while doing that, they are having a lot of impact on the larger level, also at national level and definitely at the global level as well. So while I was going through this document, Shilpi, what
Yes,
I
ma'am.
realized that time and again it's been mentioned that the teachers as the most respected and essential members of the society will be reinstated so that we can get best and the brightest minds and the passionate minds into the system. So it becomes easy that the people who understand how we are making this whole education system more progressive, futuristic, skill oriented, ethics oriented, and you know that's how teachers have been considered as most important people. And I thought that teachers, the ones who are already I'm implementing few of the reforms, and the ones who are yet to come into the this working on the same lines, they all should be aligned together. So this
Very
is
true. Yeah.
yeah, so this is about NEP 2020 specifically. Though it has been drafted by a committee led by the luminary uh, chairman of ISRO, Dr. Kasturi Rangan, but we also need to understand, and I think many of us have been instrumental, because there was a time from 2016 they started with holding conferences and many other ways where they were taking ideas and suggestions from the masses, also from the parents, from the students, educationists. And then they came up with the first draft in 2019, and again public opinion was taken. So almost I think many of us would have already feeling part of this NEP being put together. So it was not on the basis of ideas of only a handful of intellectuals, but the suggestions of even the laymen have been taken into consideration while drafting this.
And I think this was only in this NEP that it has been done, right, ma'am?
That's what. That's
Yes.
what. That is the reason. Not only for considering ourselves as the owners of this NEP, we all automatically have the accountability also to how successful make this NEP to be effective in terms of the curricular structures which are based on this NEP. So just a quick glimpse at the key principles of NEP, though we will be taking care of all these in our subsequent slides as well. So when they say that our students have to be, truly global, but at the same time, essentially Indian. So a lot of consideration has been given to diversity at the same time local context. So equity and inclusion has been at the core of all the educational decisions, and community participation, how we can involve our students in philanthropic activities. Use of technology, is highly essential. We know that within that limited time now, if teachers have to continuously move with the pace of the, whether it is knowledge transaction or whatever new things we are coming up with. So technology has to be understood well. At the same time, we all have to keep ourselves upgraded so that, within that limited time period, we should be able to make it more efficient and effective. Also, emphasis has been given on understanding of the ethical, the constitution values and other skills which are required for students to develop as holistic persons or people.
Yeah.
Then also the uniqueness about each and every child, the chance has to be given to the child to identify, as well as the teachers will help the students to identify their unique capabilities and how those are supposed to be honed. Critical thinking and creativity we've always been talking about. Now we have to see how it is being incorporated or interwoven in the curriculum itself. Then, when I said after 34 years, the nation has got its new national policy, but now it has been decided that continuous review and timely amendments will be made to this.
Ma'am, now here, before you start or go on to your next slide, I would like to tell you about one of the misconception that most of us have, okay? And that is around the 10 plus 2, 10 plus, which was initially there. Now it is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Where
Right.
majority of people think that 5 plus 3 plus 3 is the formal education, that is the school education, and 4 years is the undergraduate education. So this is one of the major, myth or misconception. Can you
Right.
please clarify on this?
Right. So we were coming to the curricular pedagogical structure only. So we all know the current 10 plus 2 or the extent 10 plus 2 system does not cater for preschool. Though we have, preschools with different terms, kindergarten, Montessori, that's informally being run by most of our schools, but formally it was always unseen or, overlooked by the structure, the academical structure. So now they have given a proper base, a solid base to this section of students also. So if you see in the new academic structure, these initial 5 years that has been called as foundational stage. So which will be in two parts. There will be 3 years for preschool and grade 1 and 2 as primary. So this will be a multi-level play-based learning where a very, very solid curriculum is being designed by NCERT. We already have one ECC curriculum designed by NCERT, but now the new one is being modified as a multifaceted. We'll be coming to that in the maybe next slide itself. Then for next stage is the preparatory stage, which will be comprising students from age 8 to 11, and the grades will be 3 to 5. It will be more of, play, discovery, and activity based and interactive classroom learning. But at middle stage, Shilpi will be covering the proper subject oriented and curricular and pedagogical style of learning that will be from 6th to 8th. So proper study or exposure to the sciences, mathematics, and social sciences will happen. But then there are also a lot of experiential learning through various modes: storytelling, theater, role play, quizzes, and other things will be automatically incorporated into the curriculum when it comes to all of us to implement that. Then comes this 4 years secondary program. So undergraduate program is not part of it. So this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is only for
For
schooling.
the formal schooling, okay.
It is only for schooling. So this 4 years is for secondary education, that again is divided into two parts. 9th and 10th will be separate, and 11th and 12th. But there are certain basic skills which we will, so it will be emphasizing more on, greater flexibility, greater critical thinking, greater depth, as well as greater advanced level of concept learning. So and also the children will have freedom to choose their subjects, like a political science student can choose coding also, which was never there. A physics student can choose Sanskrit as a subject. Then also at after grade 10th they will also have freedom to exit, and at later stage, because in grade 6 and 8, 6 to 8 we would have already equipped them with vocational skills. So if a child feels like they can just go try out something and at later stage they can come back and join 11th also. That is
But
not
this will
there.
be provided that the school has those courses in the schools, right?
That's
They
what.
have opted for those courses.
So that I'll be explaining about the vocational. So, but then here I'm saying that the
No, I'm
freedom.
talking about, when you said that, the child can move from physics to probably coding.
No,
Uh,
physics plus I'm saying like if
okay,
a science student earlier inter subject combinations were not there. So
available.
now along with physics, a child can take Sanskrit also.
Okay.
So if you know there were set combinations which the child could opt for, right? But now a political science student can do coding also along with his humanities subjects. Okay, so there is no departmentalization between humanities and sciences as such, even not between academic and co-curricular also. Even all co-curricular activities are being formulated as curricular subjects. So,
Okay.
right now this is about this new pedagogical and curricular academic structure. So after that, yes, now this is something which I had talked about, the multifaceted. So when I said that, right now also NCERT has a proper ECC, which is a beautiful curriculum. I don't know how many of us would have seen that. But here the overall aim of ECC will be to attain optimal outcomes in the domains of physical and motor development, cognitive development, artistic development, and even aesthetic development. So these preschool children definitely were never exposed to, if you see all these elements, logical thinking, problems, but it will be so beautifully and subtly put into the curriculum that the teachers may not feel the pressure that how to conduct these. So these will be kind of interwoven into the curriculum itself, which NCERT is already preparing, and they will be coming up with that very, very soon. And it is known as a National Curricular and Pedagogical Framework for ECCE specifically. Along with that, there will be a special 3 months module which will be designed by NCERT, which every grade 1 child will have to go through, so that that's kind of a checkpoint where they can see that each and every child is ready to uh, pick up the concepts which are coming their way in grade 3. And another important point is, when I'm saying that this multifaceted curriculum is being prepared, but a very strong emphasis has been still there on foundational numeracy and literacy. So a lot is being planned for foundational literacy and numeracy for ECC children.
And I have heard a lot that your school has been doing a lot in this field till now, and they have been onto the progressive path for it till now.
So Shilpi, while I was going through this document, why I again, so there's a lot of satisfaction which I got while going through the new NEP also, because I don't know about other schools, but as a progressive school, my teachers will be able to relate it to very, very clearly and directly, because the way we are putting a lot of emphasis on the numeracy and literacy skills of our students, I'm very sure in the later stages of their learning, they will never have any problem picking up the advanced concepts of mathematics or language. And same goes for all these activities which I talked about, the storytelling and the poetry and the role play.
So,
So
ma'am, what I
lot of
see is
exposure.
there is lot of the two principles on which the ECC ed curriculum is being framed right now. What you're displaying is like, learn learn for reading and understanding, and learn how to learn.
Yes.
And this is the key, I believe, for the ECC at formative years. But there's a lot of restructuring in the pedagogy here. But
Yes.
what is the consideration for the other grade students to help them move from traditional learning, rote learning, to such learning where children can learn or learn to understand?
Okay, Shilpi. So here, if you see, when we say reduction in curriculum, So there's another myth that are we making our students ready for the new world, or we are bringing them back, but then reduction in curriculum means that curriculum has been reduced to core essential, only to conceptual learning, because it is always said a good teacher should never teach students something which they can always learn from anywhere. There were times when teacher was the only source of information, but now students have their own ways of learning also. So a good teacher should only talk about core essential, at the same time creating space for a lot of inquiry based, discovery based, interaction based, analysis based, so that the creative with creativity as well as critical skills, thinking skills of students should be kind of honed. That can only happen when we involve them in a lot of questioning, in a lot of experiential learning. And when we say experiential learning, it will be included in throughout all the levels of the new curriculum. The new curriculum NCR is going to put into place by 2021. So I'm sure this all is being already taken care of, and most of the schools, in the sense,
I
they
think
have started
sorry to cut
experimenting.
you. There was a question also in the question box that
Yes.
when will this, for which academic year the new this structuring will come into effect?
Yeah, so NCF, that's what I'm saying. And revision of NCF is going on. Last time when we had our NCF was in 2005. We still following that. That is being revised, and 2021, the NCF will be in place. And the moment we get the national curriculum framework, that will be further percolated into the syllabus. So 2021, and that's the year when grade 9th students will also be introduced to the new curriculum. Again, the classroom transaction is moving towards learning outcome as well as competency based learning. So here the schools have already been sent documents based on competency based learning. And earlier we used to see whether the teacher has been able to attain the learning objectives or not. But here it will be from the students and the learners end, whether that learning outcome has been attained by the student in form of knowledge, in form of application, and further in form of relating it to his or her real life situation. So that is how the teaching as well as the assessment will be now more of competency based. Then integration of subjects, I have already told you that the curriculum will be transacted through art integration, sports integration. So no more these departments will be extracurricular or co-curricular or co-scholastic or non-scholastic areas. These will be now part of the curriculum. Okay, so though the emphasis was given on these activities, but so far these were considered as co-scholastic. So those were not assessed uh, with that kind of sincerity, which it should be. So after we have realized that how important these activities are for the holistic development of children, these have been integrated into the curricular structure.
Ma'am, there's one more question that is coming. Is these what you are mentioning is only for CBSE school or it's for ICSE school? So we have this question from Shushma SG.
Yes, yes, yes. So see, again, this is a national educational policy. So these guidelines have to be followed religiously by all the boards, including the state boards also. ICSE, CBSE, these are all national boards. Of course, they all have to follow these religiously. At the state board level also, these guidelines have to be seen incorporated. And in our subsequent slides, we'll see that how state boards are being included in making small or minor amendments to this curriculum also at their own levels. So no departmentalization. As I told you earlier, there's no hard separation between academic and vocational or amongst curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular, not even between sciences and humanities, nor sports, arts, academics. So all these will be kind of integrated. So it will be kind of interdisciplinary learning, which all of us will see. So importance of digital infrastructure, digital content, digital literacy, I think I have already mentioned.
Yes.
And now this promotion of multilingual teaching is also coming
My
up.
God, ma'am, this is something which what you have stuck is actually, it's lot of misconception. What will happen to the English medium schools, and there's a three bulldoze of language. How will the children take this up? They are too young to learn into three languages. So there's a lot of myth about all this, and there's also like regional language will be the medium of instruction. So these three are the general airs about or talk about multilingual teaching. So would definitely like to know more on this, so that this misconception could be cleared.
Definitely, Shilpi. See, all of us, we do understand now, we've been dealing with students for years together. We know that young children, they learn and grasp non-trivial concepts in their home language better. Okay, so keeping that into consideration, but then nothing is being imposed. If you read this document, our NEP, time and again it says wherever possible, these words have been used. If required, wherever possible, the medium of instructions can be in home language or mother tongue up to grade 5. Even they say that you can take it beyond grade 5 till grade 8 also. It is only from grade 9th. So wherever they want to impose or emphasize something, they have mentioned very clearly from grade 9th they want children to answer only in English. But up to grade 5, they're saying that you can keep medium of instruction in home language and mother language or mother tongue also, for the child to understand the concept. At the end of the day, the idea is to make the child understand the concept properly. And especially, with these younger ones, they sometimes have problem. And for English medium schools, they can still keep going in the same manner, but that liberty, has been given to the teacher. Because in English medium schools, under other uh, earlier, the teachers are forced only to talk in one language, but now they can use bilingual medium of instruction also. And there's another reason why children are being exposed to new languages, because we know that on one hand, when saying the difficult concepts, children may pick up when those are taught in bilingual or in home language. But at the same time, children learn or pick up languages extremely quickly between the age of 2 to 8. So that is the reason exposure is required to be given to them. I can give you example of our school. In grade 1 and 2, we have started with trilingual subject, basically, wherein
Oh wow, that's nice.
the
Yeah.
regional language, Hindi and English, those are taught together, but that is only in communicative and experiential way of teaching, so that they don't feel the pressure of learning language, in the form of as a subject. It will be only picking up the language, where the vocabulary they are learning for the new language, and that's essential also, because we know that multilingualism has uh, its own cognitive benefits also. We all know that the people who know more language, definitely their intellectual powers, their cognitive development, especially the students, that is above a normal average level. Foreign languages, sorry, skills for reading and writing in other second language can be introduced grade 3 onwards. At the same time, they're saying that only term and condition which they have put is, out of those three languages, two have to be Indian languages. This is one of the term or the condition. Foreign languages will be offered at secondary level, that is sixth onwards. And also there is a misconception that Sanskrit is being made compulsory. No, Sanskrit is just one of the classical languages, like the regional languages, which are being offered. So students have a choice of choosing Sanskrit. Only thing is little more encouragement for Sanskrit being taken as a new subject is being emphasized upon. only to make children know the essence of Sanskrit as a very beautiful subject. And at the same time, in the curriculum, the methodology as well as the content has been made will be made, I should say, will be made very simple for anyone and everyone to pick up easily. And for language teachers, they're saying large investment is going to be made. Again, I have already informed you that it will be more of communicative and experiential. And the language teaching is required for uplifting literature from Indian subcontinent. And again, the choice of language has been left to the state government, which language they want their schools to come up with. Yes, another important information. Every student from grade 6 to 8 will participate in a fun project, which will be based on the languages of India. Okay. So, and also Indian Sign Languages will be now standardized across the country.
Ma'am, there is also one question in the chat box over here. Do you think that this will affect the communication skills?
See, communication skills basically in which if I say communication skills, if I am teaching them all the three languages, definitely their communication skills in all the three languages will improve. No.
But
And
then, like when we were talking about that, the children were speaking only in English, and especially the English medium school emphasizing no talk in English, the teacher also talking in English. So being in the formative years where the child absorbs the maximum, so if we are not emphasizing upon the spoken English, because at homes also everyone do not have that environment, do you think that this will affect the communication?
So that's why I specifically mentioned, and it is mentioned in the NEP also, these languages, when we are teaching these or we are giving exposure to children, these are only and only for communicative measures. There's a difference between language as a subject and language as a medium of communication. So here we are exposing children how to understand as well as use language. Basically it is highly essential that the student or the child should be able to listen and speak the regional or the home language to understand the things going around in his surroundings. No, so here only grade 3 onwards we will be introducing language as a subject. Up to that, it will be only and only to give exposure in terms of vocabulary, in terms of sentence framing, in terms of listening and speaking skills to be developed. Yeah. So, okay. So also there will be a few changes which will be introduced by the state governments while they are preparing their books. So the core essentials will be the same, but they can also add their local flavor into the material in the textbooks. And the emphasis is also on reducing the weight of school bags and textbooks. So all these things, while I am talking in terms of what NEP has proposed, when I look at what we are exactly doing, we have been taking all these things into consideration already.
Yeah, so somewhere I feel Orchid schools have been a progressive schools in terms of implementing NEP way back.
Yes. And I think my teachers would be definitely getting a lot of gratification and happiness while reading all these things, because they are yet to be implemented and there are certain things we are already doing. Okay, so apart from languages also, there are few essential skills which have been emphasized upon. That's scientific temperament and evidence-based learning, creativity and innovation, sense of aesthetics and art appreciation. So while we are reading this, many people can think, what is new in this? So we were always talking about these skills, but nowhere these were incorporated into the curriculum. So now when the new curricular framework come in, these things we will see already incorporated into the curriculum itself. So the schools had to find their own ways to, kind of instill these skills. So when it becomes part of the curriculum, it will become easy that the schools may not have to plan separate activities to kind of focus on these skills. uh, I will here like to, because most of the things I have already spoken about. Yes.
Ma'am, I see on this on your slide something on vocational exposure and skill.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so now there is again a lot of myth around this also. Like, you know, the reduction in the curriculum is being done so that they can adjust vocational exposures into the curriculum, and also that, you know, how is just teaching in one you know, just one or two subjects or in a year will help the children in the future. So
Yes, she'll be up, as I mentioned earlier, grade 6 to 8 students, they will have to have one full year course on vocational skills. They'll pick up the skills which have been, shortlisted by the state government based on the local skilling requirement. And they'll have to have 10 days internship with the experts in that field. They can pick up anything from carpentry to metalwork or pottery, anything which is to their interest. At the same time, those experts should be locally available. So it will be an internship based vocational program which each and every student will have to submit the project by this. So it is a kind of I would say a pure vocational program, and I'm very sure this will definitely help students to equipped with the vocational skills. Yeah, so I am
yes,
very
yes.
sure, though it is thought that it will be an additional pressure, but I feel that it is definitely going to be helpful for the students, and students always love to have hands-on experience and the practical learning, and that's how the beauty of all the subjects can be seen also.
All right, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, a lot being already we are having our annual health checks and all, but then there is lot being done for the mental as well as the physical and health and nutrition health of the students also. Basically, the idea is that if their students are not feeling emotionally and mentally strong, how much we may do in the form of curriculum development or structuring, it may not be as effective. So that is the reason an inclusive, caring culture has to be emphasized upon by the leaders in their school, and the conducive environment has to be given to students to feel safe and secure so that they can learn freely and effectively.
Yeah. So there's a lot to talk about on this, but I think let's put one poll to our audience, uh, which will help us to know what do they understand upon about you know,
Yes, Shilpi, you may check.
yeah, about the provisions that are being provided. So here I launch one poll which asks that Radha is a victim of acid attack. What provision the new policy provides for the education of children like Radha? So this can be a multiple choice questions also. If you can have more than one option over here. So, special educator, caring culture at school, focus on children with disability, health and nutrition, first aid, differentiation, learning. So, remember the case is an acid attack case. All right, I think, yeah, yes, girls, you all need to be faster. I'm sorry, I am being biased, calling everyone as girls, ignoring we have even the male faculties with us. So, audience, please be faster. We have 65% of people who have voted till now. Okay, so the I'm ending the poll here, ma'am, and let's see the results. What majority of people have said. So most of them said that the caring culture at school is what makes it, you know, what is the emphasis on. 70% have said that, followed by focus on children with disability, and then is the first aid. then followed by special educators. So what should be the answer, ma'am?
So they are absolutely right. A caring culture is required. But when it comes to focus on children with disability, that is only required if the child has, after gone through this particular incident, if she has some kind of disability followed by that, then only special focus for this particular child will be required. Otherwise, inclusion means let it be as normal as it can be. Special educators will not be required for this particular child unless she has some kind of learning disabilities developed out of this. Counselor can only, so that comes under caring culture itself. Counselor can bring the confidence and the, again, that emotional state of mind of the child can be brought back to normal learning. But the emphasis has to be only on the conducive and caring culture which needs to be provided to this child, so that she should feel as included, as normal, and as equal to other children. First aid is not required because here it has not happened there in the school itself. No, so first aid should have been zero over here. I don't know, a few of them, they have interpreted it wrong. So she's a victim of acid attack. And differentiated learning is also not required here because she's part of the normal curriculum and normal learning.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, also there is, a lot of, myth around board system. Like, when the boards are going to be launched, it is going to be grade 3, 5, 8, 10, and 12. So too many board. Right now we have only at 10 and 12. So initially it was there for grade 5 and 8, and then it was realized it was too much of pressure and they removed it. Again, we are coming back to the same thing, that we are putting boards in grade now 3 also. 3, 5, 8. So won't it be pressurizing students?
So Shilpi, just a second. Sometimes the slides get stuck. I'm not able to go to the next slide. Otherwise, I would have explained you through the slide. I think, just a second. I don't know, it has got stuck, so I'll explain.
No issues, you can stop share and reshare, ma'am. It will.
All right, I'll just try that out. Otherwise, I'll just explain. Okay, I've been again, yes.
Resume slides.
Yeah. Yes. So, Shilpi, if you look at it, nowhere it is written, even in the NEP also, nowhere it is written there will be board exams for grade 3, 5, and 8. These are just checkpoints. These are just to the normal examinations which we have in school. So we can call these assessment. And when we say assessment, it is basically to check or track the achievements of students in form of their knowledge as well as application of knowledge. Whether we all are on the right path. It is not to evaluate the student. It is also to evaluate the system, the teaching learning process, as well as are we on the right track. So that's the reason we are saying tracking the achievement. Board exams will be still there at the end of grade 10th and grade 12th. But these checkpoints are highly required, especially when we are changing the curricular and the pedagogical framework. So these are required for us to assess the learning outcomes being achieved by the students or not. So, and that also these assessments will be only assessing the core concepts, and rather these will help students move away from rote learning. And all of us will agree on one point, that rote learning is the only one thing which takes away the joy of learning. If rote learning was not there in learning, no, the joy of learning could have been so much part of our school system. But so these assessments will take care that only the conceptual understanding or the competency based understanding or the learning outcomes are being taken into consideration, and not the memorization or the rote learning. And if I will also talk about the reforms in the 9th and 12th board exams, again, though when we say board exams have been made easier, that's only in terms of students not being forced to rote learn or tested on their memorization. But as far as application of knowledge or higher order skills of the knowledge of students to be tested, that will rather be brought into the curriculum. And more viable more models we may see ourselves moving towards. That's like maybe it will be more analytical rather than subjective answers, or it will be the semester system where a smaller portion will be taken and students will be assessed for those. And here this is a performance parak. This is a new association which will come in, I mean agency, which will be for performance of assessment and review. See, imagine. So when I am the moment I'm talking about rote learning, if I have to remember what is the full form of parak, that's the standard full form, it's giving a lot of stress to my mind. But when I have to talk about what all I have been able to grasp or understand of this policy, it is very easy for me to continuously talk about. So this is putting little pressure in my mind.
Yes, with the parak means like, immediately you are being assessed.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
rote learning, no? Because I have
yeah.
to learn specific terms for
Yeah.
each and every.
So, ma'am,
individual.
with the assessment transformation being in place, will be in place till 2022-23. That's what being the talk all about.
2020.
I'm sure this is going to add to lot of cumbersome and complicated report cards also. So, why do we need that?
So yes, Shilpi, when I looked at this holistic progress card, I was highly impressed. But when we're saying that so many activities will be held, but at the same time, technology will come to our aid. These report cards will not have to be designed or prepared by the teachers. There will be an artificial intelligence based software which will not only put all the 360-degree aspects of the report which has to be created for a student it will not put together, but also it will track the interests, the learning of students through all the schooling years, and finally be able to guide the student to choose an optimal or the suitable career for his life also. So I feel that this is not going to be any kind of extra burden on teachers, because they are finding out a way where that it will be automatically designed. So activities teachers are already conducting, so they will continue with the same. But I feel that for a students to know himself more, self-assessment, peer assessment, teacher assessment, and all this will let the student also know about his or her uniqueness, which is highly required, because basically each child is born unique, and for him and her to understand his unique potentials, it is very, very essential that all these elements should be part of the progress report.
Agree. Very true, ma'am.
Okay. So then also so much is being done for gifted students to avoid them from, relying so much on coachings. So, I was so impressed to see when a special curriculum is being designed, so much so in B.Ed also the teachers will be trained to teach these gifted students. There will be a special program which will be added to B.Ed. And there will be online platforms for these students where they'll have question banks and the quizzes and other material for learning, because we have to do something for the enrichment of the students who are already gifted, because we all know that boredom
Yes.
can be so disastrous.
Exactly, and can be destructive too.
Yes. So in normal classes, we are able to take care of the students who may be below average, but sometimes the teacher is not able to cater to the requirement of a gifted students. So special measures are being taken for these students, and NCRT in collaboration with NCTE will come up with a special program for these students. Then we have, yes, a lot being done for digital and already all of us know that there's a free e-learning platform by the name of Diksha, I'm very sure the teachers and other educators are taking best of the benefit out of this portal. They are also planning to come up with the one common platform by the name of Swayam for everyone. So
So,
let's wait.
ma'am, when you're talking about, digitalization, online education, there is lot that needs to be done to train the teachers. So,
Yes.
what are the reforms that have been suggested by NEP for teacher development? Because that's the key. If they are not at par, how will they take the curriculum further?
A lot. Starting with, Shilpi, for the existing teachers, they are going to have a proper training, which will be designed by NSPT. Then B.Ed programs, after a few years, the B.Ed colleges will not no more be called B.Ed colleges. Those will be called multidisciplinary colleges. And also multidisciplinary courses are being integral part of the B.Ed colleges now. And apart from that, I have already told you the special education programs will be part of B.Ed, and lot being also done for the continuous professional development of the teachers also. So teachers, they will be put on the path of career growth. They will be given, again, as I can relate it to my particular organization, where we have already, put teachers, the ones who were volunteering, at the same time who have been identified with the subject expertise. So they have already been made either the subject ambassadors or the subject heads, and they are handling the teachers of their specific subjects, because it is realized that nobody can know their subject better than the person who is already an expertise. So if
Very
you
true.
provide a kind of channel for career growth within the organization, the teachers feel motivated. And also, as I told you, national professional standards for teachers by 2022, that will also be in place. And minimum 50 hours of continuous professional development program is being designed, not only for teachers but also for leaders, because each one of us have to be upgraded all the time, because with lot many changes coming in. So these reforms and changes we can already see happening in the system.
All right.
Then I think I have come to the end of this presentation. These are few of the timelines which have already been set. As I told you, NCF will be in place by 21, and that is the year where grade 9 students will start following curricular framework for grade 9. And by 2040, they want everything should be in place as far as a recommendation of policy is concerned. So I think that's
I think
all.
gradual steps are taken, and every year there is something new that they are planning to implement. And I think all this is so much vast and in detail, ma'am, that we cannot cover this in 1 hour session. But yes, the glimpses in the form of handouts we'd like to provide to all our attendees.
Yes.
So the link to the same is put in the chat box so that they can download and use it for the further reference.
But only, Shilpi, I just want to make one request. All of them should become ambassadors, not only in terms of understanding the reforms, but also to take it further into their teaching, because whenever any such paradigm shift happens, so it is not only about structure, it is more about the attitude or the mindset. So it is highly essential that all of us should imbibe this as a change in the mindset, so that
Very
we
true.
sail through very smoothly. Thank you so much, Shilpi.
Ma'am, so we have a lot of questions that have come in between, so we'd like to answer them. But before that, we would like to post the feedback and link for the test, today's test, so that those who want to leave can leave, because we are almost on time. So I request, so we are putting the link and the feedback form in the chat box, and we will take the question answers that have come up over here now.
Yes.
So there was a constant question that was being asked, what is silo?
Oh, silo is, if you know, it is departmentalization. So no silos are and as I told you, there is no departmentalization of subjects or the co-scholastic or the curriculum, because now in schools we have different departments, no? We say there's a sports department's responsibility, that's the art department's. So all these things will be removed now, all the departmentalization lines will be removed, and it will be a kind of interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary curriculum which we are coming up with.
There was one more question by Dr. Shama Khan. What is Indian Sign Language?
Sign language like Braille we have, no? So all these languages will be standardized now. There will be one single sign language which will be established.
All right. So there's one more question. We are in the misconception that digitalization in education will reduce the physical teacher count. Will it really affect physical teachers' existence? Then roughly to how many years we can see new era in education system?
So why do they fail? So first, I have not been able to understand that nowhere I felt like even while I was going through this or analyzing this education policy, there is nowhere it is mentioned, and there is no indication of there's the reduction in size of teachers. So I would rather take your help that why would a particular teacher would have felt so.
Yeah, so there's nothing like that. Teachers are
even if I say that it has to move for more of inquiry based or discovery based, a teacher will always.
Ma'am, I think we can stop share the slide and then we can see you much clearly.
Oh, yes. So I feel that when we talk about inquiry based or discovery based or experiential learning, there is a requirement of teacher even more to facilitate those activities in the class. Without a teacher, the students cannot. In fact, the people teacher ratio has been reduced now. It has been frozen to 30. No class can go beyond. So that means they have understood the requirement and the importance of teacher in the class. So I think that's a wrong notion. And
yeah, also there was also one more question. I don't know if it was a question or but I will read that out. It is from Aparna Akela. A good teacher should only talk about core essential, that is not in detail, as they may get that information from many other resources. Agreed. But for the lower grades, core should be in depth, for they cannot refer or browse for other resources. That is grade 3 to 5, which she says, as the stability on the topic and concept will not be high, keeping excellent students aside. So what is your take on this, ma'am?
Yes. So see, when we said it has to be restricted to core essentials, that means rather than giving knowledge from our end, we have to explore it, we have to take it. So it is more of eliciting knowledge or eliciting, because child is already getting information about anything and everything. So our job is to bring it out in form of discovery, exploration, experiments, more of hands-on, more of practical experience, more of application. If we, the core has already been understood, ask the child to apply. That's what competency is going to be checked. Competency is when the child is able to not only understand the concept, but is able to apply and relate it to the real life situation also. Then we finally are assured. So more than teaching or transacting of knowledge about the core essential, it is about making them go deeper as well as higher. So there's, this balance has to be made. So depth learning as well as advanced learning has to be ensured by the teacher. That's the job of the teacher.
Very true, ma'am. And also, ma'am, there's one more question from Mugda. That how will this change the scenario of competitive exams like CET and JEE, etc., considering the importance given to these exams?
See, now the agency, the National Testing Agency, which designs all these exams, is going to design the B.Ed entrance exam as well. So everything is going to be on the same lines. And if we know, all these competitive entrance exams are already based on the conceptual understanding, right? So when the teachers who are coming into the B.Ed colleges and they are being tested. That means the syllabus for entrance to the B.Ed exams will also be conceptual. So I can already see all of them thinking on the same lines. This gap of, the teacher fraternity working in direction of rote learning or the knowledge based learning, and further the students being tested for competitive exams on the concepts. So I can already see this gap being filled. No?
Very true, very true.
Yeah.
I think the NEP 2020 is a very thoughtful and taking into consideration the holistic 360-degree approach, and if it is being implemented, it is going to definitely bring a revolution into the education system.
I'm very sure.
Yeah. So Archana ma'am, we are thankful to you for this wonderful information on NEP, and I'm sure the misconception with which the attendees started, that it is the curriculum to be implemented, is now being resolved, that it is not a curriculum, it is just a framework and a guidelines that needs to be implemented. Thank you so much, Archana ma'am. Here we have a small token of appreciation for you. Thank you so much for your valuable time, ma'am. It had been a wonderful webinar from
I
you.
just hope I could do justice. And
Yes, of course.
thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.